Hey everybody, this is Al with El Rey Collection, and I'm going to do something fun today. At least I think it's fun. It's 12 predictions for 2022. I think that it's always fun at this time of year to, number one, reflect on the previous year, and number two, think about things that could happen in the coming year. Especially when it comes to collecting. I love to have collecting goals. Not sure if that's widely held or done, but certainly I think about things that could happen in the market. I think about things I want to acquire before they increase in value. I think there's a lot of turmoil in our space with collecting. It's been great. It's been really fun, but this is certainly going to be an interesting year, especially with the World Cup. So without further ado, I guess let's get into some of the things that I think could happen. Before we get into that, unfortunately, as a registered investment advisor, I need to have a disclaimer. So please keep in mind that this is meant to be fun, and anything that I mention or that I happen to forecast, or things potentially where I use the words expect or anticipate or should or may, those are all just guesses. I have no knowledge on the market, and please read this at length, the disclaimer, so that I'm certainly not making any investment advice telling you to buy something or to sell anything, and I expect that you would make those determinations on your own or with your advisors. So anyway, that's the disclaimer. I'll pause again if you want to read this. I have to keep in mind my investment fund as well. So anyway, on to more fun stuff, because this is supposed to be fun. If only half of these positive, there's not all positive predictions, come true, I think the market's going to be in a really good place. In general, of course, we've had some softening in some things, but a number of areas of the hobby have been really strong, and I would continue that 2020. I would believe that 2022, barring a complete meltdown of the entire market, would continue to do very well, especially certain pockets of the market. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Right, I don't have a crystal ball. I love to see people's comments and see what their thoughts are. And while I can't say every potential bias that I may have, in fact sometimes I don't even know the full extent of my collection, I'm still documenting that. I'll certainly try to out every potential bias that I may have, and let you know of any cards that I mentioned, and how many, if I happen to have multiples. And I'll just in that spirit, every single scan you see in this presentation will be a card that's in my collection. So that, just by the very fact that sticker or card is in there, that is exposing some of my potential biases as well. But again, I'm not talking about buying or anything. I'm just hypothesizing on what we could see in 2022. So I don't think this will come into play nearly as much as it could in other in other situations. So in other videos. So basically, the moral of the story is that if I truly had a crystal ball, I would probably be retired, not having a day job, and I'd probably be making some YouTube videos and chatting soccer with people anyway. So here we go. Here's number one. Is that I believe that a pre-war soccer card will sell for $10,000 in 2021. A pre-war soccer card did not hit that mark, at least in a public sale. So many cards did really well, especially relative to historic norms. So we saw Meazza, Bloomer, Meredith all sell north of $5,000 US. I think that right now, if we saw a really nice Sindelar Greeling come to market, one of the higher grade Dixie Dean cards come to market, potentially even a Geo Smith, Heroes of Sport, Circus Girl, or a Taddy Meredith, especially the 1914. I think we have a legit chance of seeing a 5-figure sale for some of these pre-war epic cardboard pieces. So, I think, and there's probably 20 other candidates that could be in this category. So, Bane Shields, some of the Cope's Clips, Merediths and Bloomers. I think there's just so many really, really nice cards in the pre-war category that, exceptionally high grade, cards. I think that there's just the potential out there. Do I know for sure? Of course not. But it just feels like it's a matter of time. And when you look at soccer cards relative to other areas like baseball cards, even hockey cards, which now soccer's overtaken hockey as the fourth most important sport in terms of collecting and grading here in the U.S. There's plenty of pre-war hockey cards that routinely sell above that. I'll do another video on vintage cards as well, but I really feel that there are so many good candidates for this that one is bound to trip over that 10,000 mark, which, while it seems like a lot, and frankly it is a lot of money, it's a most of a decent new car. I think relative to other sports and relative to modern cards, not a super big ask, I think, for the market to get there. So, number one, a pre-war soccer card will get to $10,000. My second prediction for the year, and this one I think is going to be a little bit harder, mostly because, we would need the right card to come to market, but is a key, top 20 player will have a card sell for $100,000. We saw in 2021 Maradona's, Cruyff's, Pele's, top this $100,000 mark, but there is a whole slew of other players that have exceptional rookie cards, and in some of the highest grades out there that if they came to market, they would likely cross that 100,000 range. The Puskas Nonina, frankly, I had an offer for more than 100,000 for this PSA 6, which is the highest graded one that I did not take last year. I think the strength in the George Best market, there's a number of PSA 8s or 9s out there. There's some PSA 9. Beckenbauer's, the TTT, I think there's a PSA 9, which is crazy because TTTs are super hard to grade. There's relative, I think there's a 4 or 5 Eusebio. I don't think that would do it, but if we got, a clean, crisp copy that's even in high grade, and, there's many other cards of superstars, potentially a really high grade Di Stefano, many different choices. $100,000 is a ton of money, so I don't necessarily think this is going to happen, but I think there's a legit chance. It's a risky bet, but if you get one of these low pop epic players in some of the highest grades, I think that we've got a chance to see $100,000 threshold hit. If you look at what the Platini rookie did, he would kind of be in this category, and that was what a PSA 9, and that was I think that ended like 65-70. You've got the Zidane PSA 9. I know that this latest one that sold was in the low 40s, but that's been in the high 60s, 70s. So there's definitely enough candidates out there that some of these top 20 guys could actually crack that threshold, and still that's a massive threshold in soccer collecting. I know that it's not for NBA or even baseball, but for soccer collecting, it's really kind of a glass ceiling, and seeing one of these other players crack it would be really, really fun in 2022. So on to the third prediction that I have, and this is one that doesn't give me a lot of pleasure at all, but just thinking about what we likely will see in 2022, because these are all mine. You can see all my nines. I've got a lot of I think I have the fourth or fifth best Messi rookie set on the PSA registry. This isn't something that brings me any joy because I have a lot of exposure to Messi, but I just feel like the Messi market is going to continue to be soft. I hope that I'm wrong here. I think obviously if he won his 8th Balon d'Or, if he won the World Cup with Argentina, if PSG wins Champions League, I mean all those things could stave off potentially the softness and decline that we've seen. But it just feels to me, and I know that's not a great barometer of a market, but it feels to me we're going to have some softness. I think that the PSG transfer didn't super help his card market. Either did his winning of the Balon d'Or. So that didn't help. And then we've got the World Cup road, which it'll be interesting to see how difficult it'll be for Argentina. Certainly, they won't be favorites to win. You've got Damian coming on with selling his entire Messi collection, which is one of the largest in the world. That could be offset by the publicity and some of Goldin's series, but it just feels to me like likely Argentina not winning the World Cup again. PSG, just probability based, aren't, going away favorites to win Champions League. And this increased supply, especially on the non-71 bis coming back from PSA, and just the amount of Messi rookies that are out there, between the three versions of the Panini Sports Mega Cracks Campeon, Campio, 71 bis, Este sticker, the Mundi Chromos. There's just so many out there, and I think the supply, while I believe in this trade for the long term, I believe that it'll just continue to be soft in 2022. Again, not hoping for this, but I think that's what my realistic objective brain says for 2022. Hope I'm wrong. And then, another risky one we nearly got here in 2021 was that there's going to be $1 million soccer card in 2022. I think obviously the leading candidate has to be the Pele Alifa Bolage, or Alpha, like we traditionally have called it. And that would have to be one of the 6 PS9 copies, since one of the PS9 copies sold for $900,000, and it probably was a slightly overgraded PSA 9. I think that has to be the leading candidate, but maybe, a higher grade 1957 Pele. I have here a 58 Jose Inocente. I don't think that has any chance, but it's just an example of, some cards that haven't been graded. If they came out, some early Pele cards, maybe some modern cards, maybe I doubt it's going to be a Cristiano Ronaldo, Mega Cracks, but what if there was a black label Cristiano Ronaldo? What if there's this crazy rookie patch, auto 1 of 1, Holland super refractor, with pink flowers, or some other weird modern card. Those cards have been going nuts, so potentially it's going to be that. It's probably going to have to be black label or something truly exceptional to make it happen, but I think that there's definitely a chance out there. I mean, we had a couple bites at the apple. The sale, which we still don't know if it went through, the 500,000 plus Panini Calciatori Maradona PSA 10. It's got to be an exceptional card, an exceptional grade to get this to make this happen. But we were close in 2021 with the World Cup coming. And the euphoria and the global thing, the global focus on it, and with the Goldin thing and international distribution through Netflix, I mean, maybe we get there. Again, this is one of these things that's far from certain, Even the rally PSA 9 Pele Alifa Bolegay had been in the 900s over the last couple months. So I think that we're certainly hitting up against the ceiling. So it's going to be interesting to see if where we shake out on this. I mean, I won't be disappointed if we don't get there, but I think there's a real possibility that we get there. I'd say it's less likely than more likely, given everything going on in the macro environment. But certainly, I wouldn't be surprised. And in the long run, I think as soon as that threshold's hit, it's going to pave the way for other cards to get there more easily. Again, not easily, just more easily. And the high end part of the market is a little less susceptible to the daily gyrations of NFTs and crypto stock market, because if you're dropping $1 million on a card, you're likely a different type of consumer than somebody buying a card for $50 or $100. So let's see if we get that $1 million soccer card in 2022. The fifth prediction is that the World Cup run will begin in the summer of 2022. This is really hard given that the World Cup's going to be in the winter, but we used to see a huge run up in the spring prior to the summer World Cup. And so I'm going to guess that it's going to actually happen more in the summer. But barring some catastrophic economic meltdown, I think we could see it going a little early in terms of months. Just because I think some of the excitement will come out in the summer, and that's traditionally when a lot of kids would do their albums, get their World Cup albums, and so I think we're going to see this. It could spill into the fall, but this craze, for those of you who have never lived through it, is just awesome. So I think that from a timing the market, which obviously is impossible, if you have duplicates of some World Cup stars and World Cup stickers, like some of the ones that we show here, I think that we likely could see some increased demand in the summer all the way to the World Cup. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens here with this Winter World Cup, though. Winter from a Northern Hemisphere perspective. But, just being in December, the dynamics may change, but if it holds anything like it has to the past, I think we'll see some run here in the summer. So now's a great time to start going through some of your dupes and seeing what things you may want to let go, because we'll definitely see, if it's like previous World Cups, and I've been through 3 or 4 of them, we'll see a spike in demand and interest just because of that. The number 6 thing, and somewhat related to that, is that we'll see our vintage Discord channel. It's actually not mine. It's Bill at Collect Football. Yeah, he manages the Discord. But I believe that we'll hit about 1,000 memos, 1,000 members, which is kind of crazy to think about, because that when he started it and we were chatting, we were thinking, that'll be like 25 or 50 people in the Discord. If you haven't joined, here's you can see on the screen a way to join the Discord. So it's pretty exciting to have so many people from all over the world. I think roughly half, or slightly more or less than half, of the people are from the U.S. and maybe another 20% from the U.K. and maybe another 20% or so from mainland Europe and 10% from Latin America and Asia. So, I think it's a pretty exciting global group, and lots of great friendships in there, lots of people helping one another, with information and their collections. So, it's absolutely free to join. So certainly right now we're about 650. So 1,000 may be a lot, but I just think, again, this World Cup interest, some of it's bound to trickle down into vintage soccer cards as people think about the history of the World Cup and become more interested in some of that. So some of those people will come our way. Will 350 come our way? Well, maybe not, but it certainly feels like, without really without really any catalyst, we get people on the daily coming over. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll ultimately get to 1,000 people in a vintage soccer cardboard, which would basically be about half of what we have on the Facebook page. So those people are out there, and I know the technology isn't super friendly for all of us old timers, myself included, but I think that it's a great way to share, and the velocity of information sharing is just incredible compared to some other platforms. Number 7, and this one kind of pains me, and I didn't really want to talk about this at length, but I think it's a reality, and I just want to face these realities head on. I mean, especially Pele being so linked to the World Cup, and winning 3 of them, and his age, and how people are going to around the world are going to want to talk to him, together with his general health concerns and all the COVID cases in Brazil. I think that's going to continue to put a lot of interest on Pele, and by consequence, some of his vintage soccer cards and stickers. This isn't exactly how we want to see demand increase, but the same thing when Maradona unexpectedly passed, we saw the same thing happen with him. So not exactly how we want demand to increase, and it may just be a short-term spike, but I think that the focus on Pele as a World Cup superstar, and potentially with his health issues, could make some increase demand. I think the same would happen with Maradona, but probably to a lesser extent, because he won't be really in the public eye, physically, and I'm imagining that Pele will. So moving on, I think to number 8, I think PSA will open the lowest level. I know they've said that they're going to open the lowest level, so that's not news, but I actually think that it'll be somewhere between $25 and $30. That's really the big question mark. I mean, you can open like they have regular at $100, but is that really open? It feels really expensive relative to where that used to be four times like the regular price. So I think that I think anything more than $30 for the lowest level is going to be too expensive for set builders. Anything less than $20 is going to be too cheap, and ultimately they'll have the market flooded again with all of these cards. So I think if I had to guess, I'd probably say $25 feels about right, and that'll probably calibrate SGC into bumping down to $20, because by the time PSA does this, that means they're going to have significant capacity. So with that capacity, it's going to put some pressure on not everything going to PSA, so you may see SGC come in at a lower price point, and Beckett, honestly, who the hell knows? There's so little communication from them. I don't know what we're gonna get out of Beckett, but it just feels to me by summer, which is good for soccer collectors as we get ready for the World Cup, we may get some $25, $30 type submissions available at PSA, and those may take a few months. So you may get them back prior to the World Cup. So I think this is a good thing for soccer collectors. Of course, many things are unknown here. How many cards are being submitted now under regular? We don't know this, right? How many, as they decrease the levels of these $50 type submissions, how many more are going to come in? We don't know. So I think that's my best guess. It could be wrong, could be north of 30, could be pleasantly surprised in less than 20. But if I had to guess, we'll be somewhere around the 25 range. My number 9, new rookies will be found. Those who have been in the soccer card collecting for a long time know that this is always the case. I think in 2021, we had a number of really interesting finds. We had a new, Ronaldo R9 rookie found, a 1994. So that goes right up against the El Mundo Deportivo. You've got, we found the 1971 and 72 Zico cards where we had, kind of settled in on 76 and 77. A Telefil Oubillas card from 69 appears to have been found as well, and there was a new graded Pele rookie, the Bales Futebol, which came in the end of 2021. We had known about it for a while, and a new Eusebio rookie got graded for the first time. So those are pretty excited. So what will we find in 2022? The fun thing about soccer collecting is we just don't know. It's such a global thing. So, what will we find, beats the hell out of me. But some of the things we've been looking for a long time, I know other collectors have, is a pre-1958 Lev Yashin rookie card, that he would show up on some Eastern European issue. He started, early 50s. So, there's a big window gap in there for a potential issue to appear that would be very interesting. Personally, I've always been searching for a Hugo Sanchez from his time at the UNAM when he was playing with Pumas. An earlier Socrates. Right now, I think we're thinking 76. There may be a 75, but there's a couple years there, and there's many other players where we can we could reasonably expect to find earlier issues. So it's part of the fun and of the hunt and the thrill of the fun. The thrill of the hunt in vintage soccer, but it's also part of the risk. If you invest in the highest grade rookie, and that rookie is 4 years after they started playing, there's always a risk that some small regional album shows up. Now, will that become the go-to rookie? Probably not if it's evaded being found for so much time. But honestly speaking, I think that this is a real possibility and part of the excitement of the hobby, that we'll find some new rookies in 2022. Which ones? No idea, but that's certainly part of the fun. My number 10 is pre-modern cards will remain relatively stable to where they are despite the PSA influx. There's a ton of cards at PSA. I was looking at my own submissions. I still have more than 700 cards at PSA, and most of them are of the pre-modern ilk. And I think most people, have the same. These Mundi Chromos, these Panini stickers, even some of the more regional issues like this Luis Suarez that I'm showing here on the scene, on the thing. I probably have, 5 or 6 of these sitting there. So I think a lot of people are like me, and a lot of them haven't been graded, have just been sitting in collections. But despite that, I think when we get new collectors into the soccer field, they're going to tend to gravitate to the players that they watched, and they're going to be largely the pre-modern players. I think the demographics of people interested in watching the World Cup are going to push them into those types of players, and we're going to see an increase of demand. Now, that demand has to outstrip the supply, which is mounting. If you're going to look at this, not this Lewandowski sticker, but the other in action one, if you look at the pop, it's basically tripled over the past year. And so, we're going to see that. It may happen to the Mundi Chromo Iniestas or Javis, right? Xavis. We may see that, we may not, but it's my intuition that we're going to see massive influx of PSA slabs. But I think we're not going to see the bottom fall out of this market because so many new people will come in and be really interested in the space. So don't shoot me if I'm wrong and we get some, and some things actually get oversupplied. But, so there is some risk in this segment, as there is in the entire collecting base as well. Vintage included, certainly with certain stickers that have higher productions, like Panini Calciatori are going to be one, and Aquarellas, for instance, and the Pele rookies, or Gazettas, or those. So I think there's certain cards that are going to be more prone to risk than, say, for instance, a Puskas, rookie where the pop hasn't changed. Eusebio Estrellas de Bola rookies where the pop hasn't changed in 18 months. So there are certain true rarities out there that will be exempt from this. But, certainly there's going to be some vintage cards that are going to be in trouble, as well as a number of cards in the pre-modern ones. I think the Panini foot stickers out of France, for whatever reason, seem to be really solid and not have the massive increases that we'll see in some Mundi Chromo type cards or some Merlin stickers that just haven't been graded up until now. So anyway, I'm hopeful that this segment will remain stable. I think it's a great place to be in the long run. I worry about the short term with all these PSA slabs, but as soon as we get through the ocean of slabs at PSA, I think it's going to be stable and up. So not a bad time to accumulate your favorite players for the long run. So I think if you're buying this stuff now, you may have some downside, but I think it's actually quite limited. That's my guess. I think vintage will do better just because the pops are lower and likely to stay lower, but this is my number 10. I think they're going to remain stable, which is actually a good thing. My number 11 is that and this is part of the reason why I think that the pre-modern will struggle. Those are lower price points, for the vast majority of the cards, and the PWC Goldin Practices just seem to me to favor high value. I mean, trading costs in trading cards and sports cards and soccer cards, by no exception, are going to cost you 10 to 20% just to trade a card between eBay fees or Goldin fees or PWCC fees and shipping. And I think that, you really need to buy well. Your entry point needs to do well to do well on the space. And given the cost of grading, and the higher commissions, it just hurts low value flips. PWCC has a policy that if a card doesn't get a bid, they basically own the card. That seems kind of crazy. If you look at the new buyer's premium they have in place, I mean, it's basically 20% plus on certain lower value cards. So I think that between the grading fees themselves and the commissions, it just really hurts lower value flips. And it's a bifurcation of higher value market cards to the mid and lower value, things. And, cards in the sub 200 range, I think, are going to, face some headwind as we go forward. And part of that is embedded in the Goldin PWC practices where, gosh, it takes the same amount of work to sell a $10,000 card as a $50 card. So let's make the $50 card punitive relative to our capacity. So this makes business sense, but I think it hurts collectors in the long run. So the last prediction that I have for 2022 is that the El Rey collection will find 2 items on my top 10 most wanted list. In 2020, in 2021, I was lucky enough to get a couple cards that had been on the top 10 list for years. The Arthur Wharton Bane Shield, and the Pele Balas Futebol Americana card from 1957. I'm not exactly sure what's going to be out there in 2022, but I'm really excited to find out. I think that one of the learnings for all of my collector friends out there is that, always make sure you have the dry powder to jump on your grails when they become available. And those are the things to stretch for, not high pop, high grade, duplicates. Really just, hold back some of that stuff so when the card you really want becomes available, you can go after it. So, I'm excited to see what 2022 holds. I hope you guys all are too. It's the year of a tiger, so I feel like we're going to get aggressive on a couple different things that are out there in the market when we happen to see them. We're going to try to pounce on them and bring a couple new things into the El Rey collection in 2022. So add some epic cardboard certainly on my things to do. I hope it's on your list of things to do in 2022. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, like the video, subscribe if you haven't. Hopefully we can learn together and really enjoy this soccer card collecting, which is really kind of really flowered over the last couple of years. I think 2022 is going to be a great year for soccer collectors, and certainly the next 4 to 5 years are just going to be amazing. So welcome. If you're new, welcome aboard. Please subscribe to the Epic Cardboard channel that really kind of focuses in on mine, the El Rey collection. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time on Epic Cardboard channel.